Hello, welcome to today's session of our cooking demonstration. I know you normally see me for self-care and for Creative Corner, but today I thought that in honor and celebration of National Mushroom Day that we'd make a vegetarian-friendly mushroom rice dinner. So before we get started with today's session, let's go over some of the supplies that you'll need in order to cook all of this together. Okay everyone, so you will need 7 main ingredients for the food itself, 9 if you count the seasoning. So I have some extra long white and rich rice, some large mushrooms, vegetable stock, butter, green onions, Italian parsley, and some garlic. These are just my preferred brands of when I'm cooking, so it's entirely up to you what you would like to purchase yourself. I also do have a wooden cutting board, so, a knife, 1 cup measuring cup. I have a pan or a pot to cook everything in. I also have a colander, a wooden spoon, and a rubber spatula for stirring everything together. So with that, let's go ahead and get started with our cooking demonstration. Before we turn on our pan to medium heat, what you want to do is go ahead and get your butter. And the original recipe is for 4 servings, but I'm going to go ahead and double the recipe so that way I get 8 servings total. The great thing about some of the butter products is that it comes with measuring in tablespoons. We're gonna go ahead and use 4 teaspoons. So the easiest way to do that is to get your knife as well as your stick of butter. 3 teaspoons is 1 tablespoon, so we're gonna go to the first line, and then you're gonna eye the teaspoon. And like I mentioned, 3 is 1 tablespoon, so we're gonna go approximately a third of the way in. Go ahead and cut that butter piece off. And we're going to add that to the pan. And we're going to go ahead and just leave that off to the side. We are going to be using 12 of these large mushrooms. And the easiest way to cut the mushrooms is make sure you wash your hands beforehand. Using the tips of your fingers, just hold the mushroom in place and slice. If you have fingernails, you can also use your fingernails to hold the mushroom in place. And we're going to go ahead and cut 12 of these mushrooms total. And when you're cutting, you want to make sure that you try not to cut your fingers off. And when you're cutting the mushrooms, you want to make sure that you're cutting the mushrooms almost evenly across. So I'm cutting them approximately 1/4 of an inch slices. Now some stores do sell the mushrooms already pre-cut. So if you would like to, you're more than welcome to use the pre-cut mushrooms. I myself like cutting my own mushrooms. And while we're doing this, I'm teaching you some fun cooking hacks too as well. So cooking hack number 1, when you're using a large knife like I'm using, the easiest way to hold it without hurting your finger, because most people hold their knives with their finger on the blade itself, is to put your finger at the base of the blade and wrap the rest of your fingers around the handle. It gives you a nice sturdy hold on your knife, and it doesn't exhaust your fingers in the process as well. We're almost there with the mushrooms, so I'm going to go ahead and turn on the pan on medium heat. I'm using an electric skillet, not skillet, a hot plate to do this. With your stove, it's going to be a whole lot easier. If you have a gas stove, it's going to be medium heat, which is about halfway on the dial. And then if you have an electric, it's again halfway the dial on medium. And once you have a good majority of your mushrooms done, all you need to do is just go ahead and get your cutting board, put it into the pan, and while the butter melts, it's also going to cook the mushrooms as well. And I don't think I got 12 mushrooms total, so I'm going to go ahead and cut a few more. I myself love mushrooms, so I'm just going to add a few extra, and then you can go ahead and save the rest for later. But while we are doing this, I don't know if you can hear, but the pan is sizzling. I myself, when I'm using a lot of vegetables for a dish, I typically don't wash my cutting board. But if you're working with a raw food, like meat, you will need to clean your cutting board with soap and water. And as you can hear, it is sizzling. So go ahead and give this a nice stir. Check my recipe real quick. The recipe does call for 1 green onion, so I'm going to go ahead and cut 2. And then you want to make sure to cut the very tip of your green onion, just to get rid of all the yuckiness of it when it gets shipped to process, stuff like that. And then you just want to go ahead and slice it. One thing I did not mention was beforehand, I went ahead and washed all my vegetables, so that way we can use them. You want to make sure to wash everything beforehand. And keep dropping stuff on the table. So you just want to make sure that everything is sliced nice and evenly, if possible. If not, that's totally fine. So you're going to add your green onions to the mushrooms and the butter. Up next, you'll do your parsley. The recipe does call for parsley, but I love Italian parsley slightly more than regular parsley, so we're going to use that. And the easiest way to get parsley leaves is to get a colander with circle holes, not square. Get the stem, run it through one of the holes, and pull from the other side. And it's going to give you fresh parsley to use in your recipe. There is nifty tools out there that will help you do this, but I like using a colander. And we need roughly a half a teaspoon And once you have all your parsley, not including the stems, Go ahead and add that to your overall dish. And because I have nails, it's hard to grab the parsley from the colander itself. Another way is just to pluck the parsley with your hands yourself. But it is time consuming, and sometimes you do get the stem on it as well. Putting our cutting board off to the side. Again, you want to make sure to go ahead and stir this. And you're going to go ahead and caramelize the mushrooms with the onions as well as the parsley until all the moisture is evaporated from your pan. And while that's cooking, you will need your rice. So using your 1 cup, you will need 1 cup in the original recipe, but because we are doubling it, we're going to go ahead and use 2 cups of rice. I'm going to prep my rice so that way we can just add it when it's time to. Put that off to the side. And then you will also need to open your vegetable stock. Sometimes these containers do have a tab that you have to pull out, but on this one it's an open easy cap, so all you have to do is just twist it off. Want to make sure that you don't burn your mushrooms. Nice caramelized texture. So when the mushrooms turn brown, right now we still have a little bit ways to go. And to help this cook a little bit more, I'm just going to go ahead and add the lid. I'm going to add the lid at an angle so that way the steam and moisture still comes out. But I put the lid on so that way it retains the heat, allowing more of the moisture to come out of the mushrooms and everything that we put in. This process does take a while, so I like to prep, like I mentioned, prep everything with the rice, the vegetable stock. I also need to put the butter back in the fridge so that way it doesn't melt on us. And when you take off the lid, you want to make sure that you try not to get any of the moisture back into the pan. Scrape off any of the ingredients off the side. Now you can use a saucepan if you want. It's just going to be a little bit more trickier. Like I mentioned, I'm using a pot. And you just want to make sure that you don't burn everything. The easiest indication is just smelling your dish. And I like to use my stirrer to push all the mushrooms toward the bottom of the pan just so that way they're all cooked nice and evenly. And I don't know if you can tell, but there's still a little bit of moisture left inside the pot. So looking at these mushrooms, I would say about a good 3 to 5 more minutes. We're going to go ahead and let this cook, and then I'll come back here in a few minutes. You can really hear the mushrooms sizzling, and it's been roughly about 5 minutes, and a good majority of the moisture is gone from the pot itself. So just to give you an idea, this is what our mushroom looked like beforehand. So it's a white mushroom, and right now it's slightly browned. The next step in our process is to add both our vegetable stock as well as our rice. Our original recipe calls for 2 cups. Our container of vegetable stock is 32 ounces, so that is 4 cups total. And then we also need to add the rice. Again, the original recipe is 1 cup, but we're going to go ahead and add 2 cups total. So all you need to do is make sure that your everything is open. Before I add everything, let's go ahead and stir everything together. And you can, I don't know if you can see, but a few of the mushrooms are slightly toasted, and that is okay. But we're going to go ahead and push all these mushrooms down onto the pot itself. And with that, as I mentioned, slowly but surely add your vegetable stock. This part's going to take a while because you have to add everything in. Once you add your vegetable stock, you're going to go ahead and add your 2 cups of rice. And I already pre-measured 1 cup, so we just add that in. But then we need to add the 2nd cup. Rice is a little bit tricky to measure out in a dry measuring cup. So add the 2nd cup. And I'm going to go ahead and add just a tad bit more because my measurements weren't really exact for both of the cups themselves. So add just a tad bit more. Then what I'm going to go ahead and do is stir all of the ingredients together. And then you're going to go ahead and reduce your heat on your stove to low. You're going to cover your ingredients together, and you're going to let this simmer for about 20 minutes. So it's been roughly about 30 minutes. And I say 30 minutes because all the liquid wasn't gone, but most of your liquid will be gone, the rice will be cooked. So all you need to do is go ahead and turn off the heat of your stove and then cover back up the rice itself. Let it sit for a good 5 minutes, so that way whatever moisture is left is going to be absorbed into the rest of the mushroom rice. And at the same exact time, we are going to also make some garnish for the plate itself. And for our garnish, we're going to grab another green onion, cut off the tips. And then you're going to go ahead and slice your green onion. Kind of similar to how we sliced our original green onions. And I forgot to mention that you will also need to incorporate the garlic itself, which I didn't do initially. But when we added the rice as well as the vegetable stock, I went ahead and added the garlic as well. So you have your green onions situated. I also have some of the parsley itself. I'm just going to go ahead and pluck off the leaves by hand. And you don't want any of the stem to be a part of your garnish either. Again, I am using Italian parsley just because I like the flavor a little bit better than regular parsley. But it is your choice on which one you would like to utilize. So there we have it. We have our garnish situated. Again, we are letting the rice sit for about 5 minutes. Just so that way whatever moisture is left in the pot, that it will be absorbed by both the rice and the mushrooms. Then after you've let it sit, you just need yourself a serving bowl as well as your utensil to eat it. And then we'll go ahead and go over the next step here in a bit. Once your rice has set, go ahead and take off your lid. And then you're going to get your stirring utensil, and then all you need to do is just go ahead and stir everything together. Make sure that the mushrooms and green onions are evenly distributed into the dish itself. But once you have that all situated, you're going to go ahead and dish out some of your rice into your bowl that you're going to be using to eat. And again, the original recipe does serve up to 4 people, so 4 servings. We did double the recipe, so it's enough for 8 servings. If you go to our website, which I'll put in the link, the video description, it will lead you directly to the written instructions, ingredients, as well as the nutritional facts. So calories, sodium, carbs, all that fun stuff. But once you have your bowl situated, you can go ahead and grab a few of your green onions as garnish. I like green onions, so I'm going to add a lot. And then you just add some parsley to the top as well. And if you want, you're more than welcome to add salt and pepper. And that's why I said about 9 ingredients at the beginning of the video. But there you have it. Some lovely vegetarian mushroom rice. Utilizing 7 simple ingredients and a time frame of roughly about 30 to 40 minutes. Thank you for joining me on today's cooking class. I know it's a little bit different compared to what I normally do for everyone. But again, today we made a vegetarian mushroom rice dish. It's great. It's like I said, it's vegetarian friendly, using 7 ingredients, 9 if you include salt and pepper. But if you are interested, we have plenty of events hosted during the rest of the week. Be sure to subscribe to not only Facebook and YouTube, but we also have other platforms, Instagram. We have Twitch, TikTok. If you have any questions about this demonstration or about our programs, anything in general about the library, you're more than welcome to give us a call. Our phone number is 505-863-1291. I will be posting a link in the video description with a link directly to the written instructions for the workshop, as well as the phone number for the library. So if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to give us a call. But again, my name is Josh. Thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you have a good rest of your day.